Hello and welcome back. Today, I don't know if you've seen my last video on this. I drew a load of these branches. Basically, we cut down trees that were leaning in the wards so we can fence all along the ditch there without the worry and the fear of the trees then falling on top of the newly fenced fence. And then the owl buck, the owl man himself, cut off all the sort of branches and stuff, and I sort of hauled them out and made piles of them where I'll get the International and our bale splitter back into them, put the blade down, secure them, and basically just bring them down to the woods, the far end of the field. So if you haven't watched my last video, that's basically what I done. But the difference in today's video is that in my last video I was constantly in the cab. The camera was constantly sort of at an angle faced sort of at the back, facing down at the bale splitter. So all you could see was the bale splitter backing into the piles of stuff, driving up the field and then emptying them. There was no sort of out of the cab sort of camera view or camera angle. So today's video, the majority of it will be outside the cab, but obviously I don't know if you've realized, we do have a lot more than we did in the last video. I think we had about 7 or 8 piles, but today we have, I'll count them. Okay, I gave them a quick count there off camera. We have 13. So I'm not going to burden you with a lengthy video of me moving all of these. I'll only show me moving a couple of them in this video, because in the last video I moved all 7 of them in the one video, and that video is basically a 30-minute plus video of me backing into the pile, putting the blade down, securing them, driving down the bog there to the wood and dumping them, and that whole process again with a few time lapses and stuff like that. But then every so often in the video I would sort of update you on what was going on and you know, stuff like that. So I would sort of pause me drawing over and back the field and just be telling you what the situation was, what was happening, sort of all that. But anyways, I'm going to start and get these moved. As I mentioned earlier, I'm not going to move all of these in a video. I'll only move a couple of them, record. I'm going to move them all, but I'm only going to record me moving a couple of them. So I might move a couple at the start, maybe 2 or 3 at the start, and then I might end up here, move one, and then you know. So just so if you're wondering why there's 13 piles, but there's only me moving 5 of them, for example. I don't know how much I'll record of me moving it, but that's just example. There's 13 piles. Why is there only 5? Why is there only a video of me moving 5 of them? Where's the rest? I just don't want to burden you. I've already sort of probably burdened most of you with this one, so yeah. Also, before I forget, if you watched the last video, I tried to get as far back. This is where we're dumping them in the forest, but I tried to get as far back as I could. But it turns out I was only dumping them here in the hollow here, and they were piling up, and eventually they started going out there, and I started pushing them back every time. But then I realised I'm not going to have enough room here for the next couple of branches. So at the end of the last video, I mentioned that I was going to push them all back, tie them up, and push them from here as far back as I can, and I've done that off camera. Basically, when I finished the video, turned off the camera, tidied up my equipment, I just shoved it all back to as far as I could. I could get it further, but I was afraid of the branches on the trees there, that I would scrape the paint on the roof of the cab of the tractor, because we only done up the International there about 3 or 4 years ago, and the paint on it is still quite good. It hasn't rusted, it hasn't scratched off or anything like that. So we're trying to preserve the paint as much as we can for as long as we can, and so we don't really want to be scraping branches off the cab of it, because it is looking very good. the last load put up. As you can see, the pile is getting a bit big. I am trying to push it back as much as I can, but obviously if it builds out a small bit, it doesn't really matter. I can always push maybe back with the digger, because we have a 12-ton Hitachi digger. So I guess I can keep piling them on. There is more, but I won't be recording any more videos of that. But that's the last pile that's been cut so far. More of them have to be cut, but I won't be recording any more of this. So when the last couple of loads are dropped off, I could trek up the digger and just get the bucket and try and just push it in as far sort of back there as I can, and maybe level it out a small bit, because at the moment it's just a mountain of feckin' sticks and branches. And there are a few stragglers that got knocked off the bale splitter, so I can throw them up off camera. There's no rush with that, because there is more that needs to be brought up, but I might have to throw them up, because that's getting a bit that scraping off the window of the tractor and the bottom of the tractor and everything, and there's more there. All it's doing is getting either clipped off mounds of soil like that, or it's just clipping off the trees, and it's just not gripped. These ones are probably at the very back, where it's not fully gripped, because the bale splitter isn't able to go down that far with it. But the ones near the front of the bale splitter, it's obviously gripping there better. I'll throw them up anyways off camera. That's not a big deal. There's more to go up. I can get a digger then at that, the Hitachi 12-ton digger, and push them in. But that is the end of today's video. If you enjoyed this version of it, not the one that was inside the cab like the last video was, but if you enjoyed the video, please do like the video, give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe if you haven't, and I'll see you in my next video very soon. Take care.